It's Saturday, the 2nd of August 2025. You're very welcome back. The weather is overcast today, but yesterday was beautiful and it's lovely out today as well. It's only 10 to 9 in the morning here at the kitchen table. Now, if I could just do a practical demonstration of the article in the Irish Examiner quoting the Commission for Energy for Utilities, or the energy regulator as we know him. There's about 4 people or 5 in that office getting big salaries simply for manipulating figures around that we wouldn't need if you didn't have this renewable energy. Now, I have 2 big glasses here. You see, this one's a bit frosted. I just have 2, but they're the same size. You see that, they're the same size. They don't have to be the same size. And I put a bit of coffee through the warm water to get a bit of colour so you can see it. That's all it is. I have a third glass here then for topping it up. So the way it is, the market price for electricity is set by the cost of fossil fuel, which keeps the baseload plant or the main generators running. I've explained them in the previous video. There's no point in repeating that. Okay, now, if there's coal, oil and gas, which is the main things in the mix, each of those gets paid according to the market price of coal, oil and gas. So if gas is the main use in it, they get the gas price, the generators. If coal is in it 10%, they get the coal price. And if oil is in it, and there's 2 types of oil, there's distillate oil and there's crude oil, more or less, heavy oil, but they get the price for the oil. So if coal was up through the roof, we'll say it was 1,000, say there was some scarcity, the people supplying the coal generation would get paid for the coal generation. But the people supplying the gas would get the lesser amount. Okay, and over a period it would be expected that coal would be forced out because of the high price, and you'd be moving to a gas and oil generation. The problem is there's a limit on the amount of coal and where it can be burnt, and the Greens have more or less banned it. So there's these political orders from government about that, and oil is now coming back in big time. So as they try to ban the reliable old plant, they're bringing in more oil, because the gas supply comes from Britain more or less, and it's not everlasting. In other words, they have a certain amount, and that's it. And that could get worse. So the oil then comes back in, and particularly diesel engines. So as they shut down the coal, the diesel engines are rolled out by the hundreds really. And so they spin you a yarn on that, which is really a lie. But the way I want to explain it is the renewables. The renewables pick the 3 fuels, and they say the highest price. It's not the market price. The market price can be a variation of the 3 fuels, but the highest price is the price of the highest fuel in the mix. And that's the scam. That's the corruption that lies there. Because if 90% of the grid was powered by gas, 5% by coal, or we'll say even 8% by coal, that's not a good example. If 90% were supplied with gas, oil was 8% and coal was 2%. The wind and solar gets the coal price, even though coal might be only just there for a novelty, a niche. They get the highest price. So there could possibly be corruption there by getting the grid generators to burn a little coal. Once they get a little coal in, if the coal is very dear, they get the highest price. We don't know. So it's wide open to abuse, and there's nobody to protect it, because I met the regulator. You might as well be talking to the wall. He's raving on about climate change. Now, here is the way it works. The highest fuel, we'll say, is this, and we'll say the price for renewables then goes up. If the highest fuel goes down a bit, the price goes up. Now, What happens then if the highest fuel goes down? So the highest fuel, the highest price in the mix, the market price they call it, it's not a market price, it's the compulsory purchase price, goes down. This goes up. The regulator puts this up. Do you understand? You scratch me here. Put there. You see now? No. If on the other hand, the price of the fuel goes up, see, the price, the PSO levy paid to renewables goes down, and they print that in the paper. Bill payers experience a reduction in the PSO levy, and because of the renewables. So the way they lie to you is they say the renewables is giving you a reduction because they made more money. Now, is that very basic sums? A child long ago would figure that out, but the way they are today, I don't know. So we'll say that the price of coal goes up again. Goes up again. So now you're paying this for your renewables. You're paying the equal price of the highest fuel, and now you're paying very little for PSO. So the quote in the paper, PSO level is at the lowest in history, and yet you never experience any reduction in your bill. Do you see how that scam works, folks, on 6 minutes? Supposing then the price of fuel goes way up, and that's what happened in 2002 with the invasion of Ukraine. The price of fuel went so high that the regulator could brag how he wasn't charging any PSO. We're down to nearly nothing, 1%. You wouldn't notice it. The next thing is the fuel price comes down of the highest fuel, which says gas. It's not the one that is the most used, which is gas. It's whichever one of those, whichever one, even if it's only generating enough to power 5 homes, whichever one, then they get it. And as the price of this comes down, the price of your PSO goes up. See that? Price of your PSO goes up. Looks like beer. It's not. It's coffee. It's coffee. Right? So you see? And then if the fuel went to zero, which it did actually at one stage, you'd be paying your PSO levy would be this high. Now, there are other subsidies as well. The other subsidy they get is they have to take wind and solar. You cannot refuse it. And there's a person there, if you look at the last video I made, Ardaha wind power station. Ardaha, is it? Arghada. Anyway, I just saw it there. Some chap was in the power station and they showed him how when the wind is blowing, they keep the fossil fuel plant running. Because if the wind dies down, they need to pull it in straight away. So that's why there's no reduction in the amount of fossil fuel. And then I discovered by a very kind information and very clever detective work that they're burning 56 lorry loads of diesel oil per day to make up for the fact that they took away the coal, some of the coal and some of the other plants, and they bragged about that. So you got Mad Eamon Ryan and the subsequent ministers, we've reduced the amount of coal, we're nice and clean, and then they burned this diesel. Get the point? So just to run it through you again, here is a situation where fuel is free. You're caught with the PSO levy, so you can't get away from it. The next thing is the fuel gets more expensive, and so the PSO levy goes down. And then when it goes, the fuel gets a complete rip-off. The regulator said, we reduced the PSO to zero. We reduced it. Look at that, isn't that great? But you're getting ripped off here. Isn't that some scam? Isn't that the best Ponzi scheme ever was invented? But a lot of the time it'll be like this here. It'll be varying up and down. And it's adjusted every 3 months. Maybe every bit less. There's a thing called ex post and ex ante. See that? That's the way it works. That's the scam. Prices coming down. They're coming down. So then when the oil gets dirt cheap and when the highest fuel, so we'd say that gas was down at nearly nothing, 5p, and the coal the coal was down to 10p and the oil was down to 15p, it's nearly for nothing, you see, then the wind energy companies and the solar are getting the price of the lowest energy in the mix. So it's only 15p. Well, then they go broke very quick. So the regulator then puts it on your ESB bill through the PSO. So no matter what happens, you're stuck anyway. And you never can benefit from a reduction in the price of fossil fuel, because if the fuel goes down, the regulator topped this up. And then as the fuel goes up, he cuts this. Just get the point? It's like Tommy Cooper or these juggling artists or magicians. But it's all based on lies. Not one journalist will deal with that, Irish Examiner or anything else. No, I'm the only one in the world. Nobody else was able to tell you that. So is having you some channel here, folks. You look at the stuff you're getting from me. You would never get it. You'd never, ever get it. Comment underneath. A couple of you lefties. I don't want to. I know you'd want me to ban the lefties, the mad Lutheramonts on here, but sure, we're having a bit of fun with them, and it's great to see people countering them. See that they're probably not right. Probably not right up here, but they're Sinn Féin supporters anyway. Okay, we'll let you go, folks, on that. I hope that's a help. Comment underneath. Bye bye.